So in the beginning, when you start coding in React, you soon realize that to build a 3-page application, it is a little bit tricky. So what are the options when you're trying to build a 3-page application? So the choices that you'll have is you can either build a multi-page application or a single-page application. So let's take a look at both of them. So in a multi-page application, you develop your 3-page website as 3 different apps. So you'll have a home page app, about page app, and a contact page app. And then you will build them separately and you deploy them to their own folders on the server. So for the home app, you'll have a home folder, and about app, you'll have an about folder, and the contact folder for the contact app. So each page is an app by itself and deployed on its own folder on the server. Now, the pros and cons are, the pros are good for search engine optimization, but the downside is it's a little bit slow on performance and you're sort of duplicating quite a lot of code. Because you can't say if you've got a menu that is repeating on all pages, then it becomes a little bit tricky to share the code, and it's a bit hard to maintain. Now, the only way you can make this work is if you have other frameworks like Next.js, or you integrate it with Django, or various other sort of stacks. So when you in the browser, you're making multiple fetches for your pages. So this can be quite expensive. Say if you're the server's on the other side of the world, and so you make a request and then you get a page back, and then you have to render it on the browser. And a lot of times, when you switch between pages, you get this sort of flicker, and so there's all sorts of complicated user experience issues around this. And that's where a single page application is good at. So in a single page application, you develop your app as a single app. So all your 3 pages will be bundled together as one app and then deployed on the root of the server. And the good thing is, it's good on performance. It's ideal for complex UIs, and it provides a good user experience. On the downside, it's not that good on. It's not good for SEO purposes, and the bundle size can get a little bit large, and there may be a lot of emphasis on the browser to do a lot of the processing. So that can sort of slow things down. So in the browser, you're not making requests to the server. Rather, you're assembling the pages from the bundle. So in your bundle, as I said earlier, you have the code for all your pages, and there's some logic in there that sort of puts all the pages together on when you're navigating through your website. So in this video, I'm going to be looking at a component called React Router. You will use a React Router with React to build single page applications. And now what React Router offers is a way to structure your code in the way that it makes sense on what is being rendered and where it's being rendered. And the way you can do that is you can specify some rules on what to render and where to render, and in terms of when and it's based on the URL route of your application. If you'd like to see more videos on these type of topics, please subscribe to my channel and enjoy the rest of the video. Thanks. So to get started, you'd first need to create a React app and call it demo or whatever you want. And then you will install a React Router DOM. Okay, you're using npm install React Router DOM. Okay, so once you've done that, then in your app.js, you can import React from React, and then you import from React Router DOM particular modules. So the modules, you need a browser, a router, and you import that. You give it a different name because of in React Router DOM there's different browser routers, so they called it different names. So when we import it, we just give it a simple name called router. Then also you need to import the switch module and the route module and the link module, and then you can just create a normal export default function. So we're just going to call it a basic example. So in there you're just going to return something to render. So the usual when you're creating a single page application with React Router, you start off with, you wrap it around router. Okay, and so this is then everything that you put in between router will get rendered. So for our example, we're just going to create an extra, all the pages as the separate modules, separate components. So we're going to put it all in one file. So here I'm just creating a home page. So it's just a simple page with some header with saying home, and then I'm gonna create a about page, and then a contact page. So this is sort of the basic structure. I mean, this is sort of a common thing that you do anyway. So there's nothing particular about this. So everything is in between the router. Everything what we want to render. So what's important is the thing that you render in the router. In the router, you can conditionally render things depending on the URL of the application when you're navigating through your single page application. The URL will keep changing, so the router will have hooks that will monitor the state of the application in regards to the URL. So with this basic structure in place, we can just test this out, and we can render something in here. It doesn't, there's no particular meaning to this, but just want to show you that we can render, these page modules here. So if I type in home and I render the home component. Oops, I spelled that wrong. It should be capital H. So the home component is rendered. So I can do the same with about. Okay, so that's working. So you can render things in between there, and it will appear. Now, the way the React Router works is it works on, depending on which URL you're on, the React Router will determine what to render. So it's going to conditionally render things on the state of the application in terms of the URL. So when the URL changes, so when you click on a link, like the home link, the URL will say /home. So the state of the application changes. So then in the React Router, you'll have some conditional rules to see if the URL and the matching route matches. So then if it matches, then it will render that page. So that we're gonna look into that. So before that, we're gonna for our application, we're gonna have a simple structure to have a menu so that we can test out navigation. So the navigation is important within a simple single page application. So let's just do that at the moment. So just gonna put in a div class. So for our application, we're going to have this sort of a simple layout. We're going to have a wrapper, and then within the wrapper, we're going to have a navbar. So it's going to be an unordered list, and then we're going to have a set of links there. So, well, list items is just going to eventually have our links in there to navigate our website, and then after the navigation bar, we'll have our routes. So these routes will be sort of conditionally rendering things according to the state of our application. So the state of our application will be decided on what URL you're at. So that's what we need to do. So in terms of like the link, the navigation link, okay, usually we would put in an A link, and we would say, let me just get that there. Okay, so usually it will be a link and a href, and it will be equal to /home or something like that, and then you say home, and it's okay. So you'll have something like this, but in React Router we can't do this, because what this will do is it will go and fetch from outside from the server. So do a server fetch, and we don't want to do that. So in React Router we use link component or module to link and navigate within our application. So this is something very important. You can't use a link to navigate between your inside your application. So you have to always replace it with link. So that's something very important to remember, because it will have some really funny side effects if you then only use a link. So this link is like the safest way to link between your applications. Then your routing rules and conditions are executed properly. So that's important thing. Okay, so I'll have 3 links. So in our application we're gonna say okay, so we're not gonna have a href. When we're using the link, we're gonna say to, so this will be equivalent to href, and we will give it a path. So we will say the root will be our homepage. So that's how we do the links. So we could do this for all our links. So we have these links now, so they should appear on our. So we got these links. So when they don't actually do anything, so because we don't have the content, so that's where we put all the content here for these pages. So a simple route component would look like this. So route, and you have path equals / okay, and we want this particular path, and so it'll be a wrapper. So route, and so in this wrapper, the route wrapper, we're gonna render our home. Okay, so home component. So what's happening here is if our path is the root, which is /, okay, then we want to render the home. So that should render our home. So if I put another route here, okay, and remember this script is not aware of what what page you're on. So that's why we do this conditional comparing the path. So if I do about, okay, now, and I say about, okay, so this path is we're still in the home. Okay, so so the URL is slash. Okay, so if I click on about, now the about page appears as well. So what's happening here is that the URL is changed to about. Okay, now about starts off with a slash, then it's got, so you can think of it as two sections. It's got a slash and about. Now because it's got a slash, it matches this. So because this is looking for a slash. So anything, so if the URL starts with a slash, then you render the home. So basically what we're doing is we're rendering the home and the about page. Okay, so this is sort of saying, you know, I don't care what the rest of the URL is. I'm just looking for the first character and matching it. So it's like a lazy match. So in order for this particular way to work, we need to put in exact. Okay, so if we put exact now, so now when the URL is exactly a slash, then this will get rendered. Otherwise, if there's anything after the slash, then this will not get rendered. So there's no match. Now, this matching process, it's related to regex, and if you're familiar with regex and string matching, then you find this, you know, you find getting your head around this quite easy. But if you're not familiar with regex, then in the beginning you're going to find it difficult to get your head around. Now, if we want to exclusively render this, then you know, we put in exact, and then it will render it. And we to make sure that we get exclusive rendering, there is a wrapper that you can use called switch. So as you recall, at the top we got router switch. So that's another module that we're going to use. So we use link and route. Now we're going to use the switch. Okay, so the way to use switch is so you just put everything around the switch. So now I've wrapped the whole of my routes around switch. Now it will only render the first match. So if the first doesn't match, then it looks at the next route, and if that doesn't match, then so it's like if it matches, then render this and ignore the rest. So so whenever it matches, it will render that and ignore the rest. So this is a very good way of knowing exactly what's going to be rendered. So if you go back into the screen, so I've got a end tag there, slash. So okay, so just corrected that. Right, so now it all renders correctly again. So home, about, and contact. Now if I remove the exact, okay, watch what happens. Okay, so now if I click on home, it's home. If I click on about, oops, so about does not work anymore, and contact does not work anymore. So what happens is it's found the first match, and then it renders it and it ignores everything else. So you need the exact in there as well. Okay, so remember, you use exact when you when you got sort of two paths that have similar, starts off with similar sort of characters, then you use exact for for the ones that you want to be rendered. So it all depends on what type of URLs you have, and usually for the root slash you put exact, because all other roots has slash as well, begins with slash. So this is a standard thing that you put. So the thing to remember is use exact for the root, okay, and wrap it around switch for exclusively rendering your content. Finding it difficult to sort of troubleshoot things at the moment. So what you can also do is that there is a hook that you can use to inspect the URL that you're on. So that hook is called so I'm going to go back to the top, and I'm going to import a hook called useLocation. Okay, now useLocation will get access to the current URL. So if I go in, so I want to output it in my pages. So I'm going to just put it in the home page, and I'm going to say constant location equals useLocation, and that should get a location object. Now, when we got a location object, we can render it in our page. So so just put in say p tag. Oops. So I'm going to access it like location dot path name. Okay, so as you can see, we got I just put in our location is so as you can see here, we got the path slash. So if I just copy that, put it in the about page, and same. So if I go to the about page, so it's slash about, and our location is so that's working. So I'm just going to put in the contact page as well. So I've got a route. So I'm going to go back into the routes and copy one for the contact. Okay, so I've got the location for the home and about. So that's one way of troubleshooting your routes. So you know which what the current location is. And next we're going to look at how you can do nested routes and parse parameters between your pages. For this we're going to look at a simple blog example where you list some blog posts, and when you click on the blog post links, it will open up, it will render that particular post. So in order to do that, first we need to use a hook called useParams. So so I'm going to go back to the top and add in the import useParams. Okay, so then I'm going to add another link here. So I'm just going to copy and paste, and then add a link for our blog. So just copy that and change it to blog, and the link there as well. So now we've got a link there. Now in the root, in the main root, we're going to add a new root. Okay, this is it's gonna be the same stat and following the same pattern as here, but we're just gonna match for the URL for blog. Okay, so then when it matches, we're gonna call a blog page component. Okay, so we need to add a blog page component now. So we just copy one of these. So the about page. So add it at the top. Okay, so and we just rename that to blog. Okay, so that should work. So if I click on contact, click on blog, and it's got, yeah, so I just need to change that to blog. Okay, so now, yep, I got the blog page and it's got the location as well. Okay, now we need to put in the routes. Okay, we're going to have two routes. One route is going to be for /blog, and the other one is for /blog/ and the short slug name for the blog post. So let's copy the blocker code for switch. Okay, so we're not going to use all this, but we just copy and just delete bits that we don't want. Okay, so we're gonna just have two routes. Okay, and this is gonna be the first one is gonna be blog, and the second one is gonna be blog, and it's gonna have an extra bit which will be a parameter, and we're gonna call it slug. Okay, so anything after the blog will be considered as a variable or a parameter. Okay, so we're going to call it slug. So in the first route, we're going to have some links. Okay, so it's going to be a so just copy the link. Right? So it's going to be so we're going to have some links there. Okay, we're going to have 3 links. And each link will point to a unique post with a unique slug name. So first one will be my story. The second one will be my tips, and the third one will be other tips. Okay, so same with the text, the content. So it's my story, and it's my tips, and it's other tips. Okay, so so we got these routes now. Okay, so this should, okay, we should see a list of, okay, so we've got a list of, just put in a break there. Okay, so we've got a list of blog. So when we click on this, we need to render that post. Okay, so so when we click on that particular link, it will it will take us to this URL. So this URL. So that's what we need to do now. So first we're gonna create a page component for this. So just call it post. Okay, so and we're gonna have just gonna copy one of these. Just gonna copy the about and just rename it as post. Okay, so and we're gonna call it post, and within post post. And well, okay, so now if I click on the link, okay, it's got the post and our location is blog / my story. So if I go back, and then click on my tips, yep, If I go back to blog again, and so it's going to the correct URL. So if I go to blog, it lists the blogs, and if I click on my story, it goes there. All right, so this mechanism is working now. Now what we need to do is we need to get the actual content of the post. Okay, so we're not going to do the back end stuff. So we're just going to add some dummy data and then render it here. Okay, let's get some dummy data into our application. Okay, so we're going to have a constant, and we're going to call it dummy post lookup. Okay, this is going to be an object with 3 items in there, and the key would be the actual slug itself. So the first object, first item will be my story, my hyphen story, and it'll be and the value will be an array of 2 items. Okay, that will be the title and the content. So I've got the 3 items now, and I'll just put in the title and the content for each. Okay, so once we have this, then what we need to do is, okay, the next thing that we need to do is we need to use a hook called useParams. Okay, so it'll be a constant, and we're going to destructure. By using useParams, we get access to an object, and that will have the variables, the parameter that we passed in, we matched against. So as you recall, we're regarding anything after the blog slash as a parameter. So in our post, we're gonna get access to that section, that parameter slug. So that's what we're doing here. We're destructuring and getting access to the slug. Okay, so from here we can go in our go to our rendering part, and then we can get access to. So if I say, so in the rendering part, we can just do curly brackets, and then we can say dummy post lookup. Okay, and we're gonna match it with the slug. Okay, so remember the object keys are the slug. So and every item has an array. So we want so here we want to display the title, which is the first part. So we just put access to 0. Okay, so and in here, in the second part, we just move that. Copy. Just move that there. Okay, in the second part, we're just gonna copy this part, and we want the content part here. So we're gonna say so in the first part we're gonna Mr. curly bracket there. Okay, so in the first part we're displaying the title, and in the second part we're displaying the content. So this is the title, and this is the content, the blah 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 part. So to recap, we're using the params hook to extract the slug, which is the parameter that we specified in the route, and then we use that slug to match against the key of the object in the lookup. So remember, this is this can be data that is fetched from the back end, database or an API. Okay, so this okay, let's test this out. Okay, so when we go to blog, we got the stories. We click on the individual stories. It should say, okay, my real story. So it's got the title and the content. So if I go back and click on the next post, okay, so there's something wrong here. So in the link, we got blog tips. So it's probably there's not a match there. That was my tips, and it should be my tips. So let me just do that again. so okay, so if I go back, so my story, okay, and I go back, my tips, okay, so it's got my tips, go back, then I click on the third story, other tips. So I had that wrong, so my tips, because the URL was my tips and the slug, so I put the wrong data in there, so that's working. So okay, to overcome any errors in matching like we had earlier, what you can do is you can just see if the slug exists, the key exists in our lookup. So what you can do is if that slug exists there, then you can just do a ternary and render out the title and the content. If it doesn't match, then you say match, oops, not found, and so you can do the same for the other one. So just so here I'll have one. So now if I should work as before, so I've got my, and all the links work. Okay, now if I change that to something XXX, okay, now okay, that link works. So this should say it's not found. So that's working. So you know you can do this to alleviate any errors. Just gonna put that back to what it was. Okay, so tips. Right. Right. Next, we want to do some custom navigation. You know, using a button or something like. See this piece of code here. I've got a button, and when I click on it, it will go to it will change the window location. So basically, it will fetch a new page. So if we want to navigate our site using this method, it doesn't work. Okay, we have to use another hook called useHistory. Okay, and useHistory is the HTML5 API to alter the address or location for your in the browser. So so what we need to do is we need to, all right, for this on click, we're just doing an arrow function here, so we need to change that. And I need to put I need to have a handler for this, so it's going to be back button. So I'm going to have a back button handler. So when I click on it, it will run that function. Okay, so and we also need to go back to the top and import our use history. So use history module from React Router. Okay, then we need to come back and we need to use we need to say let location equals use history. So we created a location object using use history. Okay, so now we need to write our little button handler. So that's what we're going to do here. So before we do that, we've got an error here. We're using location, so we've got location here already. So we need to say, so we call it history. Okay, so now we need to create a button handler. So the function is button button, and what we're going to do is history dot push, and we want to go back to it's /blog. So if I go back, oh, I think I've accidentally removed useParams. Okay, so just add it back in. Use params. Okay, so it's working. All right, so if I do back, so that's how you do the history. So to recap, so you add it in the use history. Now I accidentally deleted the use params. That's why we got the error. So then, so once you've added use history at the top, then you will use it in your button handler. So I've got the button handler here. So function, and all we're doing is we've we've uh, we've initiated a history object there, use history, and then we're using it in our back button function. And what we're doing is we're doing history dot push, and that will push the URL to the address bar. Then when the address bar changes to this URL, then the router will automatically pick it up and do the routing. So that's how you do custom navigation. Okay, next we're gonna look at page not found and redirects. So when a user navigates to a page that doesn't exist, we can, instead of giving the standard error message, we can give a custom error message. So the way to do that is we need to intercept when the route is something that is not within our navigation menu. So what you usually do is you add a route right at the end, and that route will be you'll have a star there. So what we're saying is we're gonna test all these routes. If none of them are matching, then the star would say, okay, if nothing matches, then render this page. So anything else other than the ones in the defined routes, if it doesn't match, then we do a custom page. So that's what the star says. So we're gonna create another page saying just call it not found. Okay, so the not found. So we just sort of copy one of these. Okay, just copy that one and add it to the end and call it not found. Not found. Okay, so so to test this out, we just put in in the menu. We just put in a route that doesn't exist. So we just say doesn't exist. Okay, so doesn't exist. Okay, so create a page that doesn't exist. There's no routes here, so it should say not found. I think you have done so. So that's how you do page not found. So now if we want to redirect a page, say we have old home page, so just get a link here. Say old home page. Okay, so say if we want to redirect this to the home page, so we'll have another a route here. Okay, and we're gonna say and we're gonna put it just above the not found. Okay, now and in the root we're gonna say old, and in here we're gonna say redirect. and here we're going to say to and equals to, and we're going to give the path of the home page. So as you recall, the home page is slash, so we're going to redirect it to slash. Now I've used a redirect component here. Now it doesn't exist at the moment. We need to import it from to use in our application. So it's redirect. Now we should be able to use it. Okay, so if I click on home and about and contact, and if I click on, so that's redirecting back to our home page. So remember, our page not found route is always at the bottom, so you need to remember to put all the other routes at the top, so that it gets it matches, it tries to match them first before it does the wildcard, the star wildcard matching. So so what we've done is we've created a route, and the path is what the old path, and we want to we use the redirect module, and we say the to path is the one that we want to render, so it's the home page. So that's how you do the redirects.